What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best multi-element sorceress build in Path of Exile 2 0.3 update. This build takes the full advantage of the brand new elemental infusion system, which fundamentally changes how elemental casters will scale their damage. Instead of committing to just fire, cold or lightning, this character will combine all of these together by creating such a big offense that not only clears maps quickly, but also melts bosses when all the effects are stacked. In the early campaign, the sorceress feels fairly standard. You'll be tossing out spells like the Spark, Firebolt and the Freezing Shards as your bread and butter, but the real magic happens once you hit Act 3 and unlock the elemental infusions. At that point, the build transforms into something entirely new. Every cast will feel multiple elemental states, so set the enemies with the fire, freezing them with a solid cold, and shocking them with the lightning all at once. It's a level of synergy that feels almost unfair. The design psychology behind this build is also important. I've created it with a solo self-found in mind, meaning that you don't need to rely on trading or chasing after specific uniques to succeed. That makes it perfect as a league starter or for anyone who doesn't want to stress about the prices and the gear availability. So offensively, we focus on stacking spell levels, the cast speed and penetration nodes, so that your spells always feel OP. The overlapping shocks, freezing and ignites just don't increase your DPS, they will give you incredible control over the fights. The build is fast, flexible and incredibly satisfying to play. And remember, if you want to track this build, look up the best items, the skill tree and path of building, then click my link in the description. And before we continue, thanks to U4GM. They are a pro website that provides POE2 services like cheap currency, then even to trade all types of quality items and gems and much more. They have also more than 20,000 positive comments on Trustpilot, and this website is really worth a try. So make sure to use my discount code KAID for extra 6% off. So let's take a look at the skill gems, which is the heart of any build. The early game is all about practicality and the ease of use, while the mid to the late game transitions into a synergetic infusion-driven setup. At the very start you will be working with the Spark, Firebolt and the Freezing Shards. The Spark is great for AoE clearing because of the random projectile behavior, while the Firebolt provides strong single target pressure, especially on the early bosses. Freezing Shards is deceptively strong because it shotgun hits enemies at a close range, while also providing reliable freezing utility. As soon as you reach Act 3, the real power spike comes from the introduction of the Siphon elements. This gem is the centerpiece of the build. It's what allows you to sustain infusion and stack overlapping elemental buffs. From here, the gameplay loop becomes less about spamming one spell, and more about rotating through the different elements to maximize the infusion system. Early on, you want to focus on the added elemental damage, faster casting and controlled destruction. As your gear and levels improve, you will transition into the elemental focus, increased critical damage and the spell echo for the explosive scaling. Then priority should always be on the cast speed and the damage multipliers, as they make the gameplay feel much smoother while also boosting the raw numbers. When it comes to the gem upgrades, you want to prioritize quality on your most important skills, so the Siphon elements being the highest priority, followed by your core damage dealers like the Fireball and the Orb of Storms. Then next, the passive tree is what turns the build from a decent campaign caster into a late game powerhouse. Starting near the beginning, you immediately pick up the spell damage, mana regeneration and intelligence nodes to create a solid foundation. These nodes will keep you casting smooth and efficient, which makes you sure you never feel like you're running out of resources mid-fight. Then from there, the tree branches outwards into the elemental clusters. The beauty of this build is that it doesn't pigeonhole itself into one element. You're deliberately spreading your investments across fire, cold and the lightning nodes. The fire clusters will enhance your ignite and the raw damage scaling. Then cold clusters will empower your freeze chance and the crit potential, while the lightning clusters will focus on the shock effectiveness and the critical strikes. Together, these investments will ensure that no matter what you're casting, it always feels OP. Another big focus is on penetration. Enemies scale resistances heavily as you progress, and without penetration, your spell starts to fall off. By grabbing elemental penetration nodes across the tree, you will ensure that the damage stays relevant against even the tankiest bosses. Defensively, the hydration is also the key, so energy shield clusters combined with the life nodes will give you a dual layer defenses. This lets you absorb huge spikes of damage without instantly dying, while your regeneration and the shield charge sustain you through the prolonged encounters. Mana sustain also becomes vital, skill, so you'll be picking up nodes that increase mana efficiency and the regeneration, which allows you to keep spamming spells without interruptions. And then finally, the crit padding ties everything together. The spell critical hit chance and the multiplier nodes give the sorceress a burst potential, by turning the standard casts into a massive nukes. Then next we have Ascendancy choices, which are also what truly elevates the multi-element sorceress into one of the strongest builds for Path of Exile 2. The order of Ascendancy selection is critical, because each choice enhances a different stage of progression. So first you want to pick up the Constant Gale. This grants a permanent arcane surge, which translates into the free cast speed and mana regeneration at all times. It smooths out the early and the mid game by making your spellcaster feel snappy and sustainable. Then next go for the Heart of the Storm. This is where the multi-element team will really shine. With this node, you will gain a 50% chance to generate infusions of multi-elements whenever you pick one. That means instead of being limited to a single buff at a time, you're stacking multiple infusions simultaneously. This turns your offensive rotation into a destructive blender of overlapping damage sources. Then the third pick is the Strike Twice. By this point in your progress, you'll be constantly applying shocks with your lightning skills. The Strike Twice will double down on that, by letting you apply 2 shocks simultaneously. Even though it reduces the shock magnitude slightly, the double stacking more than makes up for it, resulting in a significant damage amplification across the board. And finally, we round this out with the Force of Will. This is the defensive backbone of our build, which will give you the ability to take 20% of the damage to the mana before life. Without enough mana regeneration, this effectively makes you tankier, without sacrificing offense. On top of that, the Arcane Surge will synergize with the low mana states, by giving you even more cast speed in the region when you're under pressure. Then next, the Atlas passive tree is where you shape your endgame farming strategy. The build thrives when you focus on consistency and density. In the 0.3 update, the central part of the tree gives access to some incredibly strong notables for the essences, harvest, the strongboxes and delirium. You'll invest heavily into the middle and the lower sections, where the harvest and the essence provide crafting opportunities and even guaranteed fights. On the right side, you will path towards the strongboxes and the Legion expeditions for more monsters and better loot. And then on top, you'll invest into the bossing nodes that improve the Conqueror, Maven and the Elder Shaper fights. The idea here is not to spread too thin. Instead, we are clustering around key synergies. For example, the strongboxes plus the essence will guarantee a consistent value, while the harvest offers a really good quality crafting options. Together, these systems will let you steadily generate profit without relying too much on RNG. Overall, this Atlas tree is designed for players who want a steady currency generation, with even the option to tackle endgame bosses whenever they choose to. It's flexible enough to support any type of farming strategy, while still making sure that you're always progressing. Next up we have gear, which is always a huge part of any build. So let's break down what you need here. During the campaign, you want to prioritize movement speed above all else. Boots with the movement speed will completely change how the build feels, letting you dodge mechanics and move efficiently through the acts. After that, focus on the life, energy, shield and resistances. These stats will keep you alive through the early difficulties, while still letting you to dish out damage. Weapon-wise, the staffs are the best starting option. They naturally roll with the largest stat bonuses, which makes it easier to find strong versions early on. But then later, you want to transition into a wand and a shield setup, for a mix of offense and defense. The shields provide an extra energy shield, resistances and sometimes even block, which is super valuable against tougher bosses. Then for stat priorities, intelligence is your main attribute, but don't neglect the strength and dexterity requirements for the certain gems. Then on gear, your priority should be first the movement speed, then maximum life, then mana regeneration, then cast speed, then plus levels to elemental skills, and then any type of resistance. Energy shield scaling should always be secondary, but still relevant. By combining life with the ES, you will get a durable hybrid defense that feels safe in both campaign and maps. Unique items are not required for this build, but if you happen to find early game uniques like the movement speed boots with the energy shield bonuses, or even a wand with the extra spell damage and the chaos resistance, then they can make your leveling much smoother. And remember, the entire design of this build is for solo self-found, so everything you need can be obtained through the normal progression. And now finally, let's see how do you actually play this build. Early on, you want to rotate between the Spark for AoV and the Firebolt for single target damage. Freezing Shards is a great third option if you pick up a cold-based staff, as it gives a great freeze up time. Then combine these with the Frost Bomb for the AoV nukes and the Flame Wall for projectile damage boosts. By Act 3, once infusions come online, then the build's gameplay loop changes. You will rotate between the spells of different elements to maintain multiple infusions simultaneously. For example, you want to cast the Orb of Storms near the enemies to generate the lightning infusions, then drop a Flame Wall for the fire infusions, and then follow that up with the cold spells like the Frost Bomb to trigger the freezing. This rotation ensures that you're stacking all 3 elemental buffs by maximizing both the damage and crowd control. Then in the maps, the sorcerers shine with mobility and stacking damage. You'll dart around the packs, setting up infusions, and watching as entire groups of enemies get deleted in overlapping effects. Against bosses, you control the fight by freezing them in a place, while stacking ignites and shocks for massive sustained DPS. The defensive gameplay revolves around keeping your energy shield topped off, then maintaining resistances and dodging big telegraph hits with the movement speed. Overall, this build is fluid, responsive, and incredibly high DPS.